The 18-year love story between Jung Il Woo and Dara that changed everything. For nearly 2 decades, Sandara Park, known to the world simply as Dara, was untouchable. The ageless fairy of K-pop. A woman who seemed to glide through fame with an ethereal aura, grace, and unshakable poise. Fans saw her as mythic, gentle, humorous, resilient, a living legend whose smile remained unbroken through every stage appearance, red carpet, and scandal that wasn't hers. She never courted controversy. She didn't chase drama. She wore heartbreak like a fragrance, impossible to detect but lingering just long enough to haunt. But behind that perfectly polished public image, fans often wondered, was she truly happy? Truly free? Or was she, like so many others in her industry, simply surviving? And then, one afternoon, everything changed. On a live stream viewed by millions, Dara broke down in front of the camera. There was no dramatic music, no filters, no emotional manipulation. Just a woman, raw and vulnerable, eyes wet with unshed tears that had clearly been held back for years. And with just one sentence, she dismantled every rumor, every denial, every theory that had swirled around her private life for years. "I swore I'd never get married, until Jung Il Woo suddenly said this." She didn't elaborate. She didn't need to. The silence that followed was deafening. Fans watching from around the world stopped typing. The comment section froze. No emoji could capture the weight of what they had just witnessed. But everyone had the same question. What did Jung Il Woo say? The answer that shook the nation. The very next day, Jung Il Woo, one of South Korea's most respected and beloved actors, stood before a wall of cameras at a hastily arranged press conference. There were no glossy banners behind him, no stylists in sight. Just Il Woo, in a plain white shirt, holding a trembling mic. He didn't read from a script. He looked directly into the camera and said, "I know everyone is wondering what I said to Dara, and I think she deserves for you to hear it exactly the way I said it." He took a breath and continued, "I told her, if you don't believe in marriage, I understand. I won't ask for a wedding. But if you believe in me, even just a little, then let me be the person you don't have to be afraid to grow old with." Gasps echoed around the room. Reporters who had spent years covering celebrity scandals stood stunned. Some had tears in their eyes. "I didn't propose," Il Woo added. "I just told her that love shouldn't be a cage. That with me, she wouldn't have to perform. She could rest. A love built in the shadows." What made his words so powerful wasn't just their sincerity, it was the story that had preceded them. Long before this press conference, long before the live stream, Dara and Il Woo had shared a bond the public never fully saw. They met in the early 2000s. She was a young woman trying to transition from unexpected fame in the Philippines to the unforgiving world of South Korean entertainment. He was recovering from a near-fatal car accident that left him physically and emotionally shattered. They weren't lovers then, not yet. But they were lifelines. In a world that demanded noise, they gave each other silence. Their friendship bloomed quietly, in backstage corridors, over late-night texts, in fleeting, meaningful glances during events. They never called it love. They couldn't afford to. The price of being discovered would have been too high, especially for Dara. As an idol signed under YG Entertainment, one of Korea's most notoriously strict agencies, Dara was bound by unspoken rules. No dating, no scandals, no visible imperfections. A single slip could destroy everything she had built. And so, they waited. They endured. Love without labels. Il Woo once skipped an entire award show because Dara would be attending, not wanting to risk a single photo of them together. Dara, in turn, turned down a role in a high-profile drama the moment she learned he had been cast as the male lead. Their love wasn't filled with grand dates or dramatic gestures. It was a love made of restraint, of sacrifices, of holding on from afar. And all of it remained buried, for 18 years. Until now. The internet reacts. As news of Il Woo's confession spread, social media imploded. His words, raw, devastating, beautiful, trended worldwide. Fan forums divided. Some were stunned, some skeptical, many overcome with emotion. A vocal minority accused the couple of manipulating sympathy. But the overwhelming response was one of awe, respect, and heartbreak. Not just at the romance itself, but at how long they had to hide it. A double standard too familiar. Fans were quick to point out what Dara had endured. While male idols were often forgiven, even celebrated, for entering relationships, female idols were punished. They were shamed, scrutinized, and in some cases forced out of the spotlight entirely. Had this truth been revealed even 5 years earlier, Dara could have lost everything. Her silence wasn't weakness. It was survival. And Il Woo's words weren't just about love, they were a lifeline. A message not just to her, but to every woman in the industry still hiding in fear. He didn't ask her to marry him. He asked her to rest. That's what made fans weep. In a culture obsessed with public proposals and over-the-top romance, Illinois Woo didn't offer a ring. He didn't talk about wedding halls or matching outfits. He simply asked her to believe in him, to stop performing, to find peace with him. And that, more than any proposal, was what broke her silence. A love that survived in secret. Fan reactions poured in from every corner of the globe. "I've loved her since 2009, one longtime fan tweeted. "I thought I knew everything. But I had no idea how much pain she was hiding. I'm proud. I'm protective. I'm relieved." Another wrote, "He didn't ask her to marry him. He asked her to believe in him. That's the most romantic thing I've ever heard in my life." Fan art exploded across the internet. Old photos resurfaced, the way Il Woo looked at her on a 2012 music show. The matching bracelets they wore without explanation. Interviews where they were asked about their ideal types and gave knowing smiles but said nothing. A viral Korean fan post read, "They didn't just fall in love. They survived in love. And that's so much more powerful." The Filipino connection. Perhaps the most moving comment came from a Filipino fan, someone who had followed Dara since her early days as a reality show contestant in Manila. "She gave her whole life to us. Let her give her heart to him." There was no hate, no boycott, just a quiet, overwhelming tide of support for a woman who had, for so long, given everything to everyone but herself. What comes next? As of now, both Dara and Il Woo have retreated from the spotlight. Reports say Dara is taking a break from scheduled appearances. Il Woo has postponed his next drama project. There are no agency statements, no brand deals, no hints of wedding invitations. The world is waiting. But maybe that's the point. Maybe after 18 years of hiding, they no longer feel the need to announce their love with fanfare. Maybe the confession was all they ever needed. At the end of his press conference, Jung Il Woo offered one final thought. "I don't know what the future holds. I just know that for the first time in 18 years, I don't want to hide anymore." He bowed and left. No kiss. No viral clip. Just a man quietly walking off stage after telling the truth. The truth that set them free. For Dara, this wasn't just about romance. It was about reclaiming a life that had been lived for others, fans, agencies, cameras. It was about finally choosing herself, and the one person who had waited for her, in silence, all those years. The industry may still whisper. Some fans may never approve. But for the first time, Dara's story belongs to her. She's not just K-pop's fairy anymore. She's not just the smiling idol who never broke. She's the woman who survived 18 years of silence, and chose love anyway. And in the end, that love wasn't loud. It was quiet, patient, enduring. And when it finally spoke, the world listened.